Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to fly your drone safely in these cold winter months, because flying in the winter, especially when it's icy and snowy, is risky, but you can get some fantastic results. But you have to know how to look after your drone, any warning signs, and what to do and how to react. So in today's video, let's discuss those points and show you why flying in the winter is one of the best times to get brilliant footage with your drone. So the first thing you need to do is actually look after yourself. So there's no point going to this location and then after 5 minutes you're freezing cold and thinking, oh God, I'm rushing this footage because I want to get back. So have an idea of that location you want to go to. Maybe research it on your weather app to see what the temperature's like in that location. Is there any rain due this afternoon or this morning? And then plan it and then head off to that location. But make sure you're dressed appropriately. So make sure you've got your hat, coat, because there's no point rushing that footage because you're freezing cold. You want to make sure that you've got some gloves on. Your fingers and hands are the most important when flying this drone. If your fingers start going red and freezing, you're not going to get good footage. So I use these PGY Tech flying gloves. They are new, just come out. These are really good, comfortable, lightweight and waterproof. They've also got fingertips where you can take these off so you can have even more control over these sticks. These are excellent, a brilliant gift for anyone for Christmas or yourself. So once you're ready, you've got to that location, you want to get your drones ready as well before you even set off. Let's move on to that point. Now, flying in adverse weather conditions has a dramatic effect on your drone flying performance as well, on that battery life. So just like hot temperatures, cold temperatures do as well. So make sure that your batteries are fully charged before setting off. Make sure that you've checked them, make sure the battery is all okay, no problems with it, and have a few different batteries if you can. Now, when going to the locations, don't just keep your battery in your drone. The drone might be cold depending on where you store it. You might keep it in like a garage or the back room, something, and it's already cold. So what I do is when I'm going to this location, I take the batteries out, whether it's a Mavic 3 battery or the Mini 2, and I'll put this in my pocket or on the dashboard on my car when I'm going to that location. If I'm walking to a location, I'll put them in one of my inside coat pockets, and the temperature from my body will increase this battery as well. So when you get this and put it into your drone and start flying, it's not super cold. If it does, you're then going to get some battery temperature warnings on the drone, which we'll now discuss. So when you first turn the drone on, and you might get a warning in the top left corner saying battery temperature cold and a warning message. Now, DJI doesn't recommend you flying in under 0 degrees, but I've flown in under 0 degrees so many times and the drone has never had a problem if you follow these steps, and that warning message goes off really quickly. But do this first. Now, what you don't want to do is just turn the drone on and go flying off at full speed with that low battery percentage on. You want the drone to develop some heat of itself. So what I would recommend you do is turn the drone on, get the propellers going, and maybe just have it on the ground without even taking off. This will inside generate some degree of warmth and warm that battery up. Once you then take off a little bit, have it hovering in place and have it hovering for about 2 or 3 minutes. Now this will again cause heat through the drone, which will then heat up that battery, and then you'll find it in most cases that warning message will go off. So in this situation now, it was -3 when taking off, so relatively cold. As I hover in place just for about 30 seconds, I can then proceed, and then that warning message goes off and it stays off for the majority of the time. But keep an eye on it. If you're flying in areas where it might be -10, -20, you know, I wouldn't go too far away, and also be aware at different altitudes. The higher up you get, the colder it's going to be. So when it is really cold conditions, try not to be too high up. If you are, make sure you're keeping an eye on that warning messages. Maybe bring the drone back to you, check it, make sure everything's okay, but be careful. What you don't want to do is that drone to just fall out of the sky. But if you just be careful, keep checking for any warning messages, you'll be absolutely fine. Now, when you are flying in really cold conditions, always keep some kind of motion on the drone. I wouldn't advise keeping still and hovering in place for a long period of time. What you don't want to do is any moisture or any sort of propeller icing whatsoever on this drone. That could be catastrophic. So always keep some kind of motion. Now, flying in snowy conditions can look fantastic, and I have flown in the snow before when it has been snowing, and that is not advisable. I wouldn't recommend it. If you are going to do so, again, keep motion. Don't hover whatsoever. There is such a high chance of this snow landing on your drone, and which is water, and the moisture will get into the motors and it'll fall out the sky. So if you're going to do it, which I really don't think you should, just keep some motion going all the time, relatively fast, and then it's got less chance of hitting your drone. But you know, unless it's like a blizzard, don't be flying in it. But if it's just little bits of snow, you can get some really nice footage. But flying in these weather conditions, maybe it's raining, don't bother. The drones, as you remember, aren't waterproof in the slightest. So even on the Mavic 3, no waterproof ceiling. You can fly, and if it's raining a bit and get it back to you, you'll be most of the time be fine. Get it back, get a microfiber cloth, dry it off, and normally, in most cases, everything will be okay. But just don't go flying in a blizzard. Now, you can get a lot of glare and reflections in the winter with the low winter sun. It is quite hard and challenging sometimes to get some nice footage. So ND filters will help a lot, especially if you're flying over water or areas where there is a lot of motion. Having that ND filter on will help a lot. It's like a sunglasses for your drone lens, and it will allow you to bring that shutter speed down so you don't have any juddering or jittery effect, and it's a really nice, smooth, natural motion. And then if you're filming something where there's a lot of motion, you can get some really nice blur on those images as well. So ND filters in the winter, although you might not think it's the best time to be using them, are crucial because there are so many glares and reflections in the winter because of that low rising winter sun. Now, have a few batteries with you. You'll notice that the battery percentage can come down pretty fast, just like in hot weather as well. So have a few batteries with you if you've got a few. If not, you can use a power bank for on-the-go charging. I've got this awesome power generator, so I'm able to charge all my things on the go, including the DJI Mavic 3 as well, with this super fast charging. So this is awesome for me. I'll do a separate video on this. But have a few batteries with you. You can never have enough. And when you are taking off and landing, now in winter, the weather conditions on the ground are also pretty slippy and muddy, not very nice. So you want to get practice how to take off on your hand. That's probably the best way I recommend. Now you can land and take off, just have your palm really flat, take off and land. And once you've done it a few times, there is no problem. Don't move your hand whatsoever when it's coming down. You know, just kind of keep your hand really flat out as it's landing. And then you'll be fine, you mastered it. And then you avoid then taking off on really poor watery conditions like we have today. Or you can get a landing mat and then you can use one of them. They're all right as well. It's just an extra thing to carry. Practice it. Once you've done it a few times, even better. And that's why by using like these gloves that I'm doing today, because they're super padded as well, it minimises any scuffs you might get if you do clip one of the propellers. So go and practice that. The main thing is have fun and experiment. So do videos and photos. Don't forget, the DJI Mini 2 and the Mavic 3 takes brilliant photos. Any of the DJI drones do. So you can get some really unique captured pictures and videos in the winter months with the ice and the snow and the trees. It's brilliant. So maybe sometimes get up early and catch a nice sunrise, sunset. It's a really unique time. You can capture some awesome videos. It's just go and practice them. Take as many batteries as you can. Go out and practice, and you'll get some awesome footage. Now, when taking your equipment, it's important to make sure, because you might be going into these areas where you might fall, the weather conditions aren't great. You don't want to be taking your drone in some sort of poor bag, carrier bag, or just having it in your hand. You might trip on the ice, and so be prepared and have a decent case or bag with you. The two that I use, I've shown you in a recent video, is I use a hard case, and this allows the drone to be fully protected in this padded shell with inside the case, fully waterproof. So even if I am hiking somewhere on an icy mountain or something and I trip, that drone is protected because it's in this hard shell case. I can have all my equipment in here. I can have batteries, I can store my gloves. The drone is fine. And this is by PGY Tech, and they do these for no matter what drone you have. So this is for the Mavic 3. I've also got one for the Mini 2. If you've got DJI R2S, they make one. So having it in a padded or a secure case is brilliant. or some kind of bag that you can take all your equipment with you. Like if you've got a couple of drones, that's brilliant, maybe a drone and an action camera, or just a drone and maybe some food. But make sure the bag that you are taking is waterproof, and it's going to allow you to then keep your equipment fine and safe. You don't want to be tripping, or it starts to rain or snows and then all your equipment is damaged. So be prepared. This equipment is not cheap, so although the bags might appear to be dear, it is worth it 100% in the long run. So I hope you enjoyed that, guys. A really raw video there, filmed on my phone audio, tips for flying your drones in the winter months to try and keep you and the drones safe. If you get the Mini 2 for Christmas or for a gift, it's still a fantastic drone. I highly recommend getting it. We've covered pretty much everything for the Mini 2, and with the Mavic 3 becoming a new drone, we're covering that as well, especially going to be in January and February when the new firmware update comes out. So stick around. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you liked that. Comment down below if you want to see any others, or you enjoyed those tips, what you thought was the most useful, or any tips that you have as well, and we can feed them back to everybody else. So take care, guys. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.